This is not going to be fun, but I'm going to do it because it is our duty to do so. UCLA beat LSU yesterday pretty convincingly. The final score was 38-27. This will not be a pleasant segment, but I'm going to say what a lot of Tiger fans once said. You cannot put up with this stuff 2 years in a row. Everyone's willing to excuse 2020 as long as 2021 provides them validation for their excuse making in 2020. Well, 2021 is off to one of the worst starts imaginable if you're an LSU Tiger fan right now. So I was kind of disgusted with the overall effort I saw from them yesterday. And to be perfectly clear, I don't have a purple and gold tattoo on my lower back. I just have high expectations for LSU football. So I was a little bit aggravated watching it yesterday because you hear good things. This is what we cautioned you about 2 weeks ago. You hear good things, but practice reports don't win games. Good-looking depth charts don't win games. Pieces of paper don't take the field. Players do. And players to varying degrees of preparedness do. And so you watch them yesterday. Which one looked more prepared? Which one looked better coached? I'm going to make that rhetorical. You can fill in the blanks however you want to. But I had a couple of folks come to me and they said, I know it looked bad, but Josh, what if we don't know the full story here? What if UCLA is secretly a really good team? What if they're the best team in the Pac-12 South? Okay, continue. And that's it. That's my argument. Well, my counter to that is, good for UCLA. What do they possess that 4 or 5 more teams on LSU's schedule won't possess? How's that going to look against Alabama? How's that going to look? You know, like Arkansas can do that in any given week. Florida can do that any given week. Auburn can do that any given week. So what if? I'll answer your question. I'll even agree with you. Devil's advocate. What if they are the best team in the Pac-12 South? What you saw from LSU is not good enough. Regardless, congratulations to Chip Kelly. I'm going to talk about it in a second. I'm not overshadowing this. This was a huge win for them. But I think the outcome's more about LSU. And so let's just dive into this a little bit. The padlock stat here tells a story. And I think we had a pretty good grip on this thing, even though we picked the wrong outcome. The angle that we took on the game is the way it played out. Just didn't play out at the angle we thought it would. We knew that there was going to be a lot of talk about quarterback in this game, and yet our feeling internally was this was not going to be a quarterback game. And sure enough, if I were to tell you Max Johnson's going to go 26 for 46, 330 through the air, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, that sounds good enough to win. Likewise, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, 9 of 16. He's not as much of a thrower. 260 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. You can't tell who won this football game by those stat lines, but I'll tell you absolutely unequivocally what does make you confident who won this game. And that is seeing that UCLA ran the ball 48 times for 215 yards. That is 4.5 per pop. That would probably give you good indication of who took the game, but that ain't all. Then you go to LSU's stat line. The most critical factor of this entire offense since the end of last season has been the running game. They have harped on it, harped on it, harped on it. Ed Orgeron mentions it even without you asking about it. They had 25 carries for 48 yards yesterday. That is under 2 yards per carry. They don't have a shot to win. LSU cannot win. They cannot be a functional offense against UCLA, much less against some of the better teams in the SEC. But here's really the bigger indictment. Forget about all the stats for a second. Forget about the final score. If I just line these teams up, but I put generic uniforms on them, since you want to talk about SEC talent and speed and skill and all that, if I were to take away the branding and the logos and just showed you the game, which one looked like the SEC team? Which one looked better coached? Which one looked more sure of itself? Which one looked more fundamentally sound? Which one looked better prepared? I don't think it was the team in purple. I really don't. I think it was UCLA. So what does SEC mean? SEC is a sticker you put on your helmet. You got to define your own style of play. That sticker doesn't do anything for you. Just like that Pac-12 sticker didn't do anything to yank UCLA down yesterday. But the real question around LSU right now is, why did that game stun so many people? I know what the point spread was. It wasn't nearly as fat as a lot of you indicated it should have been. But the real question here is, why did this UCLA-LSU outcome, 38-27, why did that stun so many people? And the answer is one of the most misunderstood things in all of college football, and it's talent. Because people get fooled by talent. Talent doesn't win football games any more than a car wins a race. But in some cases, it's our fault. You know, at 24/7 Sports, one of the best and worst tools we have is the team talent composite. which is where you can pull up very conveniently how many star guys are on a team, how many 4s and 5s, and what the rating was, and you think you have defined a team. Now, it's not how the tool is supposed to be used, but that's how a lot of people use it. And so you looked, and you saw all summer long this team in LSU with so much more talent than this team at UCLA was going to go across country, and it doesn't matter because it's week 1. They'll be acclimated, and talent will just win out. No. Talent doesn't win football games anymore, like I said, then cars win races. How do you use the car? Who's in the car? Do you get every mile per hour possible out of that engine? Do you get every mile possible off of those tires? Do you get maximum fuel efficiency? None of that has to do with talent. It has to do with how effectively you utilize the skill. In that case, the machine. In this case, if you watched LSU's football players yesterday, did it look like, for the second year in a row now, they were being utilized to their maximum capability, to their maximum preparedness? And the answer is a clear no. And so then the follow-up question is a lot more murky, it's a lot more difficult, and I don't think it's time to answer that question. But that's the bigger issue here, and that's what you take away from it. The doubt I see around Max Johnson is not something I'm ready to jump on board with. Like, I watched Max Johnson yesterday, and it's not a stat line game. I watch Max Johnson, and this is the LSU quarterback, for those unfamiliar, and I say, what more could I have asked for from him? Like, I know the big highlight that was circulating yesterday, if you were at a game or you were watching other games and you didn't get to see this one, was the horrible mistake he made. I mean, it was a terrible mistake. He throws the ball backwards, not even looking. One of the crazier plays you'll ever see. I mean, if they were doing it for fun, if it was a movie, it would have been a great scene. It was real life, and it was a horror movie, as it turned out. That wasn't his game, though. That was a little clip from the game. He was under duress all night long. I don't know what more could have been expected of him. Max Johnson's a guy I think I can win with if I have a high enough function offensive line in front of him, if I have more than one receiver that I know I can go to. LSU doesn't have these things right now. I don't care what you were told leading up to the season. I don't care what you were led to believe. I don't care what you felt based on whatever. They don't have that right now. Now, the good news is it's week 1 of a 12-week season. The bad news is you're behind the 8 ball already. This wasn't a conference game, but you're still behind the 8 ball already. Remember, this is Ed Orgeron's team now. For better or for worse, this is his team. This is his staff. This is his roster. This is his developmental plan. This is his plan, period. He's made that crystal clear. He made clear how important this game was in week 1. Well, now we see the fallout from it. Now we see the ramifications. Now we see the result. But you got to tip your cap to Chip Kelly. This is a guy who has been left for dead nationally. This is a guy who's been forgotten. And he kind of reinvented some things about UCLA football. And they were probably underrated. A lot of the advanced metrics guys would tell you they were underrated in the latter portion of last season. Well, now here they are, and they're starting to get some serious rub as one of the best teams on the West Coast. I don't know how lofty that mountain is to climb right now, so very quickly they could find themselves there. So hats off to Chip Kelly. A lot of work to be done at LSU.